Hello, everyone. Welcome to an interview on the Zen portal Web TV. My name is Susie, and today I'm pleased to meet with Dr. Meir Schneider, who was born with cataract, who was told he would not be able to see, but who refused to accept the physical limitation that he was born with. So the doctor said he will always be blind and that he would never be able to read, write, or drive. At the age of 16, Meir Schneider decided that he would see and be independent. So he searched for, at 16, he had a method that helped him improve his sight. So welcome, Dr. Schneider. It's a great pleasure and privilege to speak with you today, to speak with such an amazing person who followed his intuition and did not give up and not be a victim of his condition. So welcome.
I just want everyone to know that me and Susie had a very nice conversation before we started, and I have an extremely good feeling about being in this show.
Oh, that's so nice. You're so nice. Thank you. I will try to do my best to talk in English. I don't practice much, but I do understand everything. And I was very touched because I saw two of your interviews that you talked to me about. One, Self-Healing, My Life and Vision, who you would talk about love and what made you push and don't give up. It was the love of your grandmother, and this touched me very, very much. Can you talk to me about it a bit?
Yeah, I was born in the Soviet Union to deaf parents. And my grandmother took a big portion of raising me in my childhood. And I passed through 5 experimental cataract surgeries that were very unsuccessful. 99% of my lens became scar tissue. My vision ended up being 1%. I wouldn't see your face in front of me. I would see a halo or a shadow. And so I saw some things, but not enough to make a real picture. So I basically was raised reading Braille. The big thing that I can say that my parents loved me, the big love that I had, which I think is metaphysical and universal, actually by somebody who doesn't believe in metaphysics. You know, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. The question is where your heart is. Mm-hmm. And that was my grandmother. My grandmother raised me with a lot of love and a lot of affection. She used to go to hospital beds and lie down side by side with me and massaged me when I was crying, and believed in me big time. When other people in Braille class believed that what I should do is quickly learn a profession, she believed that she has a protege. In a way, you could say a Jewish grandmother always believes in her grandson. Mm-hmm. But in the other way, it encouraged me. I started to really believe in myself and who I was. And as a result was that I was very energetic. For example, I was the quickest Braille reader in the state of Israel. And there's a bunch of quick Braille readers, but I used to put the book under my bed. My mother would say lights out. She wouldn't hear that I get the book below the bed again, even though the walls were thin, because she's deaf. So I used to read. Sometimes she would catch me because I would fall asleep with my fingers on the Braille book. But basically, I was able to read a lot. I was withdrawing because kids sometimes were cruel to me, because that was the beginning of inclusion. I'm sure you have a lot of inclusion in Canada right now, and you have inclusion in the United States. But inclusion was very new for the state of Israel. In that time, they used to have a special place for blind people. And so I was included, but then they didn't know how to educate other kids to not be cruel to me. I almost was removed out of my school several times because I was hitting back when kids would stand behind me and somebody would hit me over my head, and everybody would deny that they hit me over the head. When kids would run away and would not, I would not find them, so they played without me, all kinds of things. On the other end, I was playing with kids, and against all the adults' warning and trepidation, I would fall from 2 floors in an unfinished building into holes. I would ride a bicycle, and beside hitting people, I would fall into holes and things of that nature. That it worked in all kinds of ways, and I wasn't submissive to all kinds of teachers who thought that I should be submissive and just behave nice. I wasn't nice then. And so the result was that when exercises were introduced to me, I put all my heart and soul in them. Because on the one end, I had the incredible love of my grandmother to me and my parents, but especially my grandmother, because of her incredible devotion to me. And I had her trust in me, and it translated later on. Even I had to rebel against her later on in a certain time of my life, but it translated into strong and high self-esteem. And in fact, even these days, my son, unfortunately, my 2 kids were born with cataracts, just like me. And my son, unfortunately, and I think it had to do with the anesthesia, have developed some learning difficulties and had developed some autism. And with my love to him and my support of him, he ended up going much farther than any of his educators thought he would. He just was working, and he's studying in college. Takes him years to graduate from college, but one by one, sometimes he fails a course 3 times until he succeeds in the course the 4th time. And he has many ignorant teachers in college. It's not like it's easy. It's not like we're in better days these days than we used to be. We're not. It looks that way, but we're not. And people discriminate against him anywhere possibly, and yet he believes in himself, and he wants to move forwards, and he has his life dreams. And that's what happened to me. That's how, when I was given the right techniques, I was able to move from 1% vision to 70% vision, from a situation where everybody said that I should have a seeing eye dog and a cane and admonish my parents and my grandmother, to a situation these days where I drive a car and people make all kinds of jokes, like,
This is amazing. This is really amazing that you can do this, because the science, the doctors wouldn't say it was possible.
Right. They would say it's not possible for 2 reasons. One is that 99% of my lens is scar tissue. One day when I'll meet you, I'll show you that picture. It's disgusting. It looks like my eyes cut into pieces. 99% of my lens is scar tissue. My pupils are not really regular. I had an nystagmus, which is an involuntary movement of the eye at a speed of 300 times per minute, which lowered down right now to between 0 to 12 times per minute. That means when I look at you, but my eyes would look here, and then I would look here, and my eyes would look here, and I wouldn't be able to focus on anything. Okay. People would think I was under drugs when I took my thick, dark glasses off, because they would move like this, So I had this terrible nystagmus, which is secondary to cataract, and I basically wasn't able to see. I would never be able to see your face in the mirror. Boy, I would lose quite a bit, actually. You have a very beautiful face.
Thank you.
So I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to do all kinds of things. When today I'm able to do it, and it's thanks to 2 things. A, to the eye exercises, because they're very good. And I learned to use the bits and pieces of my lenses with contact with my brain. And the brain is the biggest portion of vision. So first of all, my lenses were cut. But second of all, my brain did not develop in a critical time. Your brain developed at the age of 8 weeks. At the first hour after you were born, you don't look anymore. Only at the age of 8 weeks, you start to look again, because you're busy doing other things. You're busy sucking, you're busy hearing. Your hearing is very acute in that time. You're busy digesting, developing, and all that. At the age of 8 weeks, in order to see your mother's face, you start to see from basically half a meter. Okay. Then after that, you start to see more and more and more. At the age of 2.5 years, you finish by seeing better than 6/6 or 20/20. If you live in the Amazon, or if you live among the native tribes in New Zealand, your vision will be better than it was when you were 2.5 years of age. If you live in civilization, where we look at internet, where we look at letters, where we look from near, where houses, instead of being shelters, becomes dwelling, and we look at a wall or something closer than a wall, then your vision normally will be 20/20 or less, or 6/6 or less. And I think that much of what happens to people's vision, unlike in my case, where it was problem of genetics, although I'm the first one, my 2 kids got it for me, and I think that it's possible that my father had an illegal lab of photography in our home, and the chemicals probably have changed a lot of my chemistry in that time, and it went straight to my DNA.
Oh, okay.
I think that caused me to have cataract, because only 1 out of 20,000 infants have cataracts.
Okay,
And
I understand.
yeah. Okay, so I had 2 reasons not to see: my eye and my brain.
And the method that you developed, at 16 you had the Bates method, and then after that you improved the method. What is the method?
Well, Dr. Bates believed that vision can improve, so he was ostracized by all of his profession, because he stood up to the grandfather of ophthalmology in the US. He stood up to the 2 Austrian scientists, Hitzig and Helmholtz, in the 1800, who decided that vision cannot improve. He have proven in more than 3,000 cases that eyes can see better. And he decided that the ways to see better is relaxation, adjustment to strong light, and looking at details. I've definitely improved.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last phrase. Looking at
details.
details.
Yeah. You think you see my face, but you don't. You see a small portion of my face, and your macula, which is only 1.5% of your total retina, looks from detail to detail, and then your mind constructs your face in the occipital lobe. You have a sense that you're seeing my face. Furthermore, your occipital lobe decides which portions you look at in your reality and which you will not. So you block 90% of what you see in the thalamus. And the reason is we get 1 billion light rays between the 2 retinas every single minute. We can't really absorb all the information we get. In fact, right now you see me upside down, but you basically twisted it in your brain to see me right side up. That's also a proven fact. And so what happens is that you basically are looking at small detail and move from one to the other. As a blind person who learned to not look, I stopped looking at details. My Braille teacher would tell me, don't look anywhere, just feel. You don't see anything anyway. And just think what kind of mindset that started to give me. On top of not seeing well, I was told I'm seeing nothing. So then I didn't look. So then I learned to look at details. But Tibetan yogis in ancient times did a lot of the same kind of work. And one of the most important exercises for the Tibetan yogis was to sit in dark caves, wear dark robes, and palm. Put the hands gently around the eye orbits, like I did right now.
Okay.
And palming is a big section of the Dr. Bates method. Now, I've developed 9 principles that belong to the modern world that Dr. Bates did not live in. He lived more than 100 years ago, and he died in the 20s the 30s, the early 30s of last century. And my principles have to do with what's missing in our lives. And I want to again remind you and everyone of the audience one important thing. And I'm working not only on eyes, by the way. I work on paralysis, I work on back problems and others. Genes are not a destiny. Genes are a possibility. With the same gene, you could be blind or almost see well. With the same gene, you could have muscular dystrophy, die from it at the age of 11 out of weakness and scoliosis and other problems. And with the same muscular dystrophy, you could walk with a limp at the age of 80. It all depends what you do with yourself. So it's not like we ignore our genes. Our genes are there. I don't have the talent of Yasha Chefetz or of, Isaac Stern to play violin, but I never tried to play violin. I would only know how well I can play violin if I did it. I don't have the genius of Albert Einstein, but I never spent the hours that Albert Einstein spent on physics. So what I want to say is that these principles that I'm going to talk about are important for all of us. There is no proof that there's any genetic reasons for myopia or nearsightedness. But right now in the US, about 40% of the people below the age of 40 are nearsighted. In Canada, it's a little bit better, except with the Eskimos. They see better than the rest of you in Canada. And in Taiwan, 84% of the people before the age of 40 are nearsighted. And I think that the reason is that we decided that there is nothing you can do about it. So, for example, until the 60s, they used to have big windows in classrooms, so you'll have a lot of light. Until some medical people who don't understand science per se, but decided that they understand science, decided that nothing makes a difference for vision. So all of a sudden, we don't have large windows, but we have fluorescent lights for our kids. That is ridiculous. So what I'm saying is that things we can do to prevent glasses. No matter if, even if you're 40, don't think you're supposed to wear glasses to read. You know, so let me start with saying that we all need to relax our eyes.
Okay.
We all
if we do a lot of work in front of the computer, it doesn't help.
It hurts for two reasons. Number one is because of the fact that you're looking from near. Number two is because of the fact that you look at pixels. Pixels are clear in the center and are fuzzy in the periphery, in the margins. Unlike letters, you have white in the center, but they're clear in the margins on books. So what happens is you don't sense it, but you strain tremendously. Let me ask every audience, look far away and see how your eyes feel. Now look from near at your hand and see how hard your eyes work when you do that.
Yeah, I see that they're working. I have LASIK operation in my eyes,
which I oppose vehemently, by the way.
Yeah, I did it.
I remember that once in Israel, I was interviewed in a radio station, and one very good holistic ophthalmologist told me, you know, it was it's 2008, so it's a little bit different than now. But she said, you know, in Israel, there are 200 LASIK specialists. Must be many more right now. 120 of them wear glasses. None of them had the surgery done on them. And if that doesn't tell you something, what does? The problem with LASIK is that LASIK weakens the eye. Is that you have a situation where you have less cornea as a result of the fact that it was sliced. Then you are much more vulnerable to problems. If you fall on the snow with your head, you have much more chances of retinal detachment. If you have high pressure in your eye, ophthalmologists cannot find it out because they measure the eye through the cornea. And eventually, LASIK only works between 7 and 9 years. And eventually, the eyes become weaker. And there are many people who become blind as a result of LASIK, not in percentage, in absolute numbers. In percentage, everything is okay with 94% of them. And about 70–80% of people who have LASIK immediately see better and don't need glasses. That's nice and dandy. But the problem is they didn't really solve the myopia. You made glasses out of your cornea. So maybe it's more comfortable. Eye exercises take much longer, but they work beautifully with no side effect.
Okay, good. So you have in Quebec, you are in Quebec City.
By the way, I want to tell you something. When you meet with me, let's work on your eyes to make sure that you don't get any of the side effects that come with LASIK, including astigmatism.
Yes, I will. I will see you in May in Montreal.
Yeah.
we would have so much to talk about, but I have to translate everything in French, and it's a very long work. So I will say to everyone that you are in Quebec this weekend, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th of February, and you have a workshop and a conference. So there's places left. People can go and talk to you about your method. You have also a lot of places in the world that you're. Yes, show me the book.
I just want to say, do you see the books?
Yes.
I just want to say that I'm very proud of this book. You know, with this thin book, normally they say, you know what they say? That it takes 2 hours to prepare a 5 minutes lecture and 5 minutes to prepare a 2-hour lecture. Well, I spent 4 years on this book. It has the solution for nearsightedness, farsightedness. It takes away the strain of using the computer. It works on overcoming cross-sightedness, cataracts, glaucoma, macular degeneration, macular Packards. It takes away many problems, retinitis pigmentosa, and I've done it in a thin book because of the 44 years experience I have. And I'm so happy to come to the French world. I'm already in 8 languages, including Chinese and Portuguese and Spanish, and I will be soon in 9 languages, and I want to be in more. And I'm coming to Quebec because I think that Quebec has people just like you with open heart and open mind. We need a revolution. What happens now is not working, because what happens now, more and more people see poorly because we don't give our eyes the right conditions to see well with. We don't respond to them. And the result is that people's vision gets worse and worse. It's normal for people to get nearsighted. Then it's normal for people to get farsighted when they don't read well from near. Then it becomes normal for people to have cataracts, so they remove the cataracts. Then it's normal for people to have macular degeneration. And I think that normal has to go away. And that's why I'm so grateful to you for interviewing me, because we need to raise consciousness. We can change it. Just like people think it's normal to have arthritis, that normal needs to go away too. And with movement, you can prevent it. Just like people think that it's normal to have many paralyzed people, like people with multiple sclerosis, again, that needs to go away. We can really work with our nervous system much better than we ever worked in the past. There are exercises for that. We need to understand that normal life is hard on us, and that we were told many things that don't really work for us. So the 9 principles that I have, as I said, relaxation, adjustment to different light frequencies. Let me be controversial. I'm against sunglasses. And so I'm for adjustment to the sunlight, unless you drive straight to the sun, and that is not a natural condition. But I'm all for a hat, you know, to have shadow. On the other end, we don't have nightlife. We have city lights. So the eyes are not adjusting to the light of the night. We used to have so many wonderful capacities to see peripherally. That's why people have glaucoma, because we don't have peripheral vision these days. Also, when you look at a computer, before you know, there is no ceiling, there's no floor, there's no walls. So waving the hands to the side and doing many exercises to wake up the periphery is great. We also need to look at the distance. We're looking too much from near. And that makes the lens round and thick, and that's why people have cataracts. And if we learn to look at distance 20 minutes a day, you wouldn't have computer eye strain, and you wouldn't have cataract. We learn to create balanced use of the 2 eyes, because most people use one eye much more than the other, which is just like stepping on one leg more than the other leg. We also learn to expand our periphery, as I said, which is important, but we also learn to create balanced use within each eye. And we learn to get much more blood flowing to the head, because these days, blood flow, lack of blood flow is the #1 reason for blindness. So as I'm explaining to you, with the principle and with what's written in my books, I want a revolution. I mean, a real...
Show me the one in French. What is the title? Can I see it? It says, I have to stop talking. You have to stop. Just start talking that the camera go to you.
I know that Vision for Life. Vision for Life is the name of it in English.
Okay, Vision for Life. So I just see a bit, là, soignez vos yeux, but I will translate it in my interview. Thank you.
So what's important is that this book will bring new consciousness, and just like in the past, acupuncturists were denied, chiropractors were denied, and the idea was in the past, you know, in the 60s, if people would exercise and change their diet and would try to help their health, doctors would think they're stupid. These days, people saying there's nothing you can do for your vision, and there's nothing you can do about problems relating to aging. Not true. There's a lot you can do for your vision. We can change the world completely, and we have to do it a step at a time. And I hope that your program one day will grow enough so I would be able to bring more to more people the ideas which is behind this book.
It will be my pleasure to share this with, and that there's many as possible people learn about this. It is very important to me that we change our perception and our thinking in life. So thank you very much, Meir, and I look forward to meet you in May when you come to Montreal, and I will ask all the people to go to see you this weekend. It's too far for me, but I would have gladly go if I could.
I'll meet you in Montreal. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Thank you.
You too. Thanks a lot.